submission, I was like, ooh. And I don't mean it in the sexual way, right? I meant it like in that.
Wait, her face. But where your mind? As a matter of fact, I don't know. I don't want to know that. I don't.
My bad. I was like, whoa, come back. I was
Come
thinking
back,
50
Lord.
Shades of Grey. I was like, what
Bring it
happened
back,
there?
sister.
That 50 Shades of Grey brought me back. Welcome back.
Welcome back to
Yo,
episode 3.
Pero tú estás cute, see?
We doing it, sis. Look at you.
You look cute. I like where you put your mics. You can't even see it.
I'm rocking the little doña haircut.
Yeah, you look like your
Come
mom.
on.
I got a picture of our moms together. I'm gonna have to show it to the podcast.
We have to post it.
Yo, you look just like
It
your
is
mom.
lit.
Yeah, you look beautiful.
Thank you, boo.
So what's going on? What are we talking about today's topic?
So today's episode title, which should already give it away, is Being a Woman Isn't Being a Slave and Being a Man Isn't Being a Robot.
Oh, okay.
We've been told how to show up as a real woman and how to show up as a real man. Who decides what that means?
We've been showed. All right. Who shows us that? Our families or
Yeah, I mean society.
culture, society?
What a woman should be and what a man should be.
Well, I guess if we're saying a woman isn't gonna be a slave, I guess okay, so we're saying the roles that we should play as the woman and as the man.
And how it affects that. And not only in regular relationships, but also in again, listening to our audience, and we love getting feedback, even in same-sex relationships or non-binary relationships, how gender roles tend to play a role or have an impact.
That makes
right?
sense.
I know for sure, the minute I hear women being slaves is women like us, we've evolved into having all these rights and being, having all these careers, but it didn't lessen our workload at home, which is what a stay-at-home mom, wife used to do back in the day.
Oh, you mean the way our moms were.
Right. And then a man being a robot, the immediate thing that I think is you got no feelings, stop crying, get it together. You have to provide for your family. You have to go to work, and anything that impacts your functioning, let it go, because you got to show up for your family.
Well, I do believe that in relationships, there are certain roles that you have to play, and meaning there are man roles and there's certain roles that women have to play too. I remember that I was in a relationship where it was very important for that person to get fed, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And I struggle with having I guess a more organized meal. I struggle with eating, right? Alicia says, one of my besties says that I eat like a bird.
Sis was really just trying to have a banana for lunch, okay? Sis said, you could buy your rabo and your moro. I'm going to have a banana. I said, what?
Right? So
No.
to me, the food thing isn't such a necessity, right? But here's this person that expected me to give him some stuff, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I felt like that was a very not slave role to do, right? As the topic says, there's certain things that we feel like we're enslaved to do. But
Right.
I did feel like it was a role thing that I had to do, right? I always envisioned my mom who cooked for all of us, but she also didn't have to work. So I feel like now we have a lot of women that are expected to obviously do the same thing, right? We're still expected to, do these roles that we have to do at home, like the cooking and the cleaning,
Right.
and the keeping the house in order.
Right.
And also be the providers. I don't think the same expectations should be expected. So I struggled with that, and I had to communicate yo, I also work. I also have to get up. And although I am working from home and you think it might be easy, sometimes I can't disconnect from this computer. I can't get out and just have your food ready by the time you roll up in here at 6. Those are real conversations that need to be had, the dynamic of what the relationship is going to look like. But I think that there are expectations or things that, that are expected from us as women. Same way, the same things that we expect from men.
I think the crazy thing is that we want to evolve, but then when we evolve, we also get shamed for not keeping up with
The old traditions. Or
right? Like
the
like
rules.
I know, speaking like traditionally in our Latino culture, it's like, well, no matter what, a man is just not going to clean a house the way a woman does,
But
or
that
they're the
who taught us
detail.
that?
Right. So like, but then when I come in and I'm like, okay, he did it. He didn't clean it how I would clean it. But maybe it's because that man was not expected to do that for the last 35, 37 years of his life.
Oh, he wasn't shown, right? Or
Right,
taught.
like practice, not for nothing, like practice makes perfect. Like, right, mommy gave me a broom when I was like 6 and was like, ven, ayúdame a barrer. So it's like by now, obviously my level of cleanliness or cleaning a space, and don't get me wrong, like my husband's very organized. That's where we differ a little bit. I could leave my clothes all over. He's not like that. He needs to
You're
put his
clean.
clothes.
You're perhaps
But
messy.
clean,
That's what it is. Yeah.
exactly. So like, but even so that it's like, yeah, he's not gonna do it like I do it, but it's also like, all right, well, I'm gonna give him the opportunity to do it like 25 times, and by the 25th time, he's
gonna
gonna get
pick
there.
something up.
Like I feel like there's this thing of like, even with kids, like, oh, a man could never raise a kid the way a woman can, and I'm like, but says who? And I think part of that is we don't allow men to show their capacity outside of what they're supposed to be doing.
Oh, which is what? To be providers, protectors.
Yeah, to work, to just go out and work. Like, think about it. Like,
But that's not the only thing they're supposed to do, right?
well, of course,
They're supposed to lead. There's supposed to be a plan, right? Because if we look at it from a religion perspective, we're supposed to submit as women. So what are we submitting to? What is the plan? Because ain't nothing more sexier than a man with a plan. Because that means that he's done some work, or at least he has an idea. Okay, I could submit to that. I could see where we going. Like, he's being a leader.
Do you think that's like more like ambition, or truly like you being a more submissive person? Especially
No,
having a
submission
strong
is hard for
character.
me, right? Submission was
Being a
it's
strong
the
character
same
woman.
word as that sacrifice word that you told me the last time when we talk about love is sacrificial, right? Submission, I was like, ooh. And I don't mean it in the sexual way, right? I meant it like in that.
Wait, her face. But wait, where your mind? As a matter of fact, I don't know. I don't want to know that. I don't.
My bad. I was like, whoa, come back. I was
Come
thinking of
back,
50 Shades of
Lord.
Grey. I was like, what
Bring it
happened
back,
there?
sister.
That 50 Shades of Grey brought me back.
That red lipstick got you a little crazy today. All right, go ahead.
All right, my bad. The submitting to you and your plan and your, what you're gonna do as a leader, because you have to follow, right? Okay, let me follow this lead. Now his lead. However, I think that some of us as perhaps humans, not even men, women, perhaps what if your partner who is a man, let's say my partner was a man, or would be a man, doesn't have as a strong leadership capabilities as perhaps I would as a female. But then maybe perhaps he's a great chef, which all of a sudden now the roles traditionally have crossed, but yet maybe the dynamic of that would be more successful for the relationship. Then would it be wrong?
That's good.
You know?
Good. Well,
So,
it helps you feel how there is no real right or wrong way to do this. Like some men have more capacity in certain areas than another man. Some woman may have capacities, right? More capacities than another woman. Like I just feel I love this point that I see here where it said, did we ever feel punished explicitly or silently for not meeting those molds? And I grew up with a single mom. So my mom, it's crazy though, because I feel like my mom was working a lot, but I also feel like she also cooked a lot. So I can't remember where like one didn't, where one was being done more than
she
the
was
other,
probably
which is
working, but on
crazy.
time enough for you when you got out of school, because she
Right.
wasn't going to leave
So-
you guys alone.
Right. And what we did was, well, when my brother and I were old enough that my brother stayed with me, I would she taught me how to season the meat. So she was like, get the meat out the freezer,
Yeah.
have it sazonado, be ready to go.
You didn't season it in the freezer with the meat already? Like, so we used to season it and then put it in the freezer
That makes
seasoned.
sense too.
So then we would just take it out. We
Right.
would just leave it there.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like my brother never had to do that. Like I did it.
Right.
So it's also like, why was it me? You know? Or like,
What if he was a better seasoner? Right?
and he ended up working at a restaurant. Homie, yo, I literally just thought about that. Homie still got his chef coat from Cheesecake Factory some like 20 years ago that he don't want to get rid of because he swear deep down inside he's still a chef. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why was that on us? You know? And then he obviously he was older, so of course he was taking care of me, which that makes sense. But had it been the other way around, would my mom felt as comfortable with me taking care of my brother? I don't know. Like, I just feel like part of that, and you know, we were raised with the double standard of like my brother could have little girls meet him in the steps, but I couldn't. And if I did, I would get in a lot of trouble. So it's like, is it because you felt we weren't strong enough or had enough control over ourselves?
Well,
Like, where
I
does
mean,
that come in?
we are girls, and there's still the mentality of like we can't fend for ourselves, especially at a younger age. And
But that's
just
everybody.
yeah, I get it. But he was also a little bit older. He was the older
Well, yeah,
one,
he was older, but he
and a
also was
boy.
allowed to do things at an age where when I was
Even
that
at
age,
that
I
age, you
wasn't.
couldn't do it. Yeah.
Which is typical. I mean, you know, that's normal for us.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
normal
think
for
it's
our
more
culture.
maybe cultural and also gender. Like some of that is gender and some of that is cultural. But I think it's also the expectation that the culture and society has. Like women are supposed to be more nurturing, more the ones that plan the birthdays, the one that knows when the graduation party is, the one that knows when the appointment is, the one
The
that's
one
like,
that controls the calendar.
so you're like operations manager, uh, nurse, therapist, right? But then I feel like, damn, the men sometimes get overshadowed, but they're the ones that provide like the household, right? Like the main source of the home in some relationships,
Yeah.
right? In some relationships, a woman is the one that's the provider.
Well, it's funny. The thing that comes up to my mind is because I feel like you would be my friends in this position. My friends and I were having a conversation. I tend to have like the unpopular opinion in my friend group, and we were talking about being stay-at-home moms, right? 'Cause some of my friends are stay-at-home moms or whatever, and they're rocking it. And oh my God, do I respect that job? Like,
That's
I
harder.
don't want it. Like, I don't want it. But
I would want it now.
I was saying, yeah, so that's what we were talking about. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not saying that I wouldn't want it, but I would be okay with Gabe being a stay-at-home parent.
Okay.
If the position allowed that, right? So let's
Yeah.
say like,
If you were gonna be more financially stable
yeah,
for the family, meaning if you were more the producer, then you would go produce financially, and he would stay at home mom.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if he
Stay at home
would.
dad.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if he, I mean, he said, I think we're on the same page because we did talk about it. He was like, listen, it got to make sense. But if it makes sense, it makes sense. Like,
And some
again,
relationships are like that.
right. And I feel like, again, we're not leading by pride or by gender roles. Like, we're really leading by, like, again, hubby being emotionally available and open to all the conversations. He was like, is it the first thing that would cross my mind? No. But if it's something that makes sense for our financial situation and you're killing it in your position, and or it's something where like I have this thing where I'm manifesting that I will be traveling, either public speaking somewhere or
Yeah.
doing my thing. And we were talking about like, oh, what if I tour? Like we can all go as a family. And he's like, absolutely. Like, let's do it. So I feel like, I don't know. I feel like that's also where the openness and the conversations really matter. But some people have a hard time with that, right? Because some of my girlfriends are like, absolutely not. Like, hell no,
No,
I
they
could
don't want to
not
do
see
that.
myself being with a husband that is a stay-at-home parent. Like, I want to be the
I
stay-at-home
see.
parent.
So I have friends that do both too. I have seen the
Stay-at-home.
stay-at-home mom and doesn't have to work at all, and she does it all, right? But the thing is that I have the one that the husband travels a lot. So now the husband's not there. So now it's a lot. It's like single mom, being a single mom because he's not there, but he's just providing the home, the financial support, right? So there is no, she doesn't have to worry about paying anything, but there's also not the support of the person. Like, it's not all the money. You need the person there. Like, these kids are growing up. They require time. We need their energy. Like, we have to go to the grocery store. We have to go take them to the sports and take them to this, take them to that. So I don't know. I think as there has to be some form of balance. I hear the complaint on both. I could see it.
Yeah.
And then the trying to be the one that works to produce the money, like splitting, the parents that
Right.
split both. So now you have to also produce money and show up motherly and do all the rules there too.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, right now we're both working, and I was very adamant about, like, I don't do the traditional stuff. Like, as a matter of fact, um, when I met Gabe in the beginning, he was paying to get his clothes washed, and it was terrible. The clothes were
Oof. Oh, I love to
disgusting.
wash clothes too.
The clothes were disgusting. It was not a vibe. So
It
of
is more
course
downy?
he started coming with us. No, when he was when he was paying to get it washed, it smelled as bad as when he took it. Because they be cheap with it. Like when you pay for it sometimes at the laundromat. So you already know my mother was like, hell no. Like, saw him go pick up his clothes.
It
we
wasn't
gonna
even
wash
white
it.
because the whites weren't white.
She was like, ay no, dile que traiga esa ropa, ese pobre
Échale
muchacho.
oxy.
Right, and then he's in the restaurant business. She was like, ese niño de seguro tiene esos collares amarillo in the camisa, like it's yellow here,
Yo,
probably because
deadass.
he's working at a restaurant, it's physical labor. I'm like, oh my God. So we started getting his clothes. And then I was like, hell no, he coming and he learning to wash, because what if
One
I'm in
day,
the hospital and we can't wash the clothes? Like, no. Ironically enough, he's off on Mondays and I'm taking care of my mom a lot throughout a medical condition of hers, and he literally washes clothes every
Oh,
Monday.
you see?
He washes the clothes of the house. Because he's more here
I know
because I'm
that.
taking care of my mom, he will do the clothes, he washes all the dishes. Like, I do the cooking, but he washes all the dishes. Like, cannot complain. So I'm like, but would he have done that had he had a person that's like, oh my God, you don't know how to do anything, da, da, da. Because why? In the beginning, he had to learn. Se pone do tapa, you don't just put this amount of salt, so you're going to do this, whatever. We taught him the way my mom does it. Boom. Right now, he washes clothes is exactly as if we would have done it.
But here's another thing. Do you not think that some roles, I don't know, are important or needed that are gender based? Meaning, here's what I'm getting at.
I think, are you getting with the leadership aspect?
Or even from male and female perspective. Meaning, when children are growing up, don't they need the nurturing, loving mom? And if she lacks that, then it's, something she should work on, because it's a role that should be, I guess, natural to her. And if it's not given naturally to her, she has to find an effort to be more of that, because the kid is going to need that. And from a male perspective, should they not want to be the leader, be the provider? Should it not be like, don't worry, I got you, because you want to protect the person that you're trying to, build this family with and have these children with, right? Because if you're seeing long-term legacy in this woman, then yes, you should be driven to support
Right.
and provide leadership and overhead for that vision that you see in her, in us.
Right. I think it goes back to a point that we made in another episode of, I really think it has to do with just what are you flexible around? What is your negotiable? I don't think a man is less capable of being nurturing, as much as maybe they're not aware of how to do it, or like they don't have the ability to touch on their emotions because it was just never natural for them or normal for them to do so, or allowed. So they don't know how to touch into that part of themselves. Like, for example, like with the leadership and the nurturing, ideally both parents would do both. Right? Both parents would have leadership qualities.
Okay.
Both parents would be nurturing and loving to their children in their own ways, of course, right? Somebody could be nurturing and give a bunch of physical affection, while another one could be very nurturing in regards to words of affirmation and be like, you're doing such a good job, son. I'm so proud of you. Come here. Like, so there's different ways to show the love, but if you can't tap into that part of you because you never got to tap into that as a young child, then you're not going to be able to offer what you never knew how to get or do. So I think that that's why in another episode, I also said I wanted to heal to a certain aspect before having a kid, is because I needed Gabe to learn to have a voice. I can't raise a kid with one parent that is always speaking up and the other parent just going with what I said. So I told him, I need you to tap into that. I
Yeah, because
need
you
you.
want to be able to talk to your child
Exactly. And
and
same,
communicate what
right.
you feel, what you don't feel. Yeah.
And same thing with like with me, right? In learning, I actually had to learn to be more submissive to a certain aspect, right? Like I want to
Girl.
take control of everything. Like that man has not
Control,
one anxious bone
control.
on his body. And I'm like anxiety on a freaking thousand. Like, thank God I took him to watch Inside Out 2. And when that little anxiety thing was just like, I was like, bro, that's literally my mind. And he was like, you're lying. I was like, no, I'm dead ass. That's really what it looks like for me. He was able
I'm
to.
controlling too.
Right. So I have to learn. And he's still teaching me, Lord, I pray for this every day. Let go, sister. Like, I cannot do it. Like and I'll tell him like, hey, do this. But then it's like I see the time is passing, and because he's so like chill, está pasando el tiempo, and I'm like, but you could have done it already, and 2 more things. But it's also like,
Because you have to accept some of his traits and qualities. That's just who he is.
Right.
Like, but because
Right.
you're more like another way, you feel
Exactly.
like, oh, yo, why are you not doing it like this? Why are you not this? And so you have to make sure that it's not so much an expectation based on a gender
Right.
versus more of his characteristic, and his personality might not
Yes.
drive him to be as fast as, as the way we are.
Right.
Ponte la pila.
No, and there's certain things like with the wedding planning. I need, as a person, I want things to look a certain way.
Oof,
the wedding would have still happened regardless with him doing some stuff,
right?
But it wouldn't have been up to par with what I would have wanted. So I also need to accept if it's something that doesn't let you go to sleep, sis, it has nothing to do with Gabe. That's a you versus you issue that you haven't fixed. So I had to learn to like say, what is this really about? Right? It's not about my husband. It's about my own shit.
I would be in denial if I told you that I didn't have certain expectations from my male partner or from a partner, from my person. I do, and maybe some of that is gender based. I don't know. Maybe it's also because of because of my story, like where I've been through in relationship, what has lacked, what has given me trauma, right? And how do I do better in my next relationship? And some of that maybe is gender, right? Like I do need to feel a certain expectation from them as providers, like, because that's what I saw from my dad. And I'm not saying, yo, you got to pay all the bills, but you got to hold it down. Like, and
you need to feel safe enough to know if you end up not being able to work, is that person going to pay your bills?
Yeah.
Or cover, same way as you would figure it out if that person was.
Or are we on that same page to get there? And now I'm older, right? So whatever that looked like for you in your 20s, it's going to look different for you in your 40s. Not that I'm there yet. I'm just saying.
Putting that clear.
But that's what I'm saying. So it looks different, but the same feeling is there, right? It's still feeling provided, protected. And also hearing what your person what their future looks like, right? Like where are you headed towards, because there has to be some form of a plan, and it has to vibe with you, because this is a reflection, an extension of who you are.
Right.
So are we on that same, I guess, extension? Are we on that same wavelength? Are we all both striving for the same thing? And some of that is I do have an expectation for them to show up in certain areas.
Right. But that's okay for you, because that you have your reasoning, right? And it's the life resume that I was talking about. Can you envision your future looking like this, where we're kind of, to a certain extent, being led by your plan? Well, our plan, but right? That's okay though, because there's some men that also want that. Right? So it's
to
just
give that or
to give that, yeah. To a certain extent. There are men that are not comfortable with you paying all the bills. Like they need to pay, or they want to, not because they need to, they want to.
You can't, what are you willing to sacrifice? Because some of those men then don't show up emotionally.
Well, I do. That actually goes with the next topic that we have here, which is, how does that work for same gender relationships and role reversals? So do gender roles show up even when no man or woman is assigned? like the provider, the
Okay. Yeah.
submission,
Yeah.
how does that work for a same sex? I mean, I can't speak on that, but again, another one that I'm hoping later on we are able to have someone that can speak on that. But how does that work for that? Or like non-binary couples that there is no gender. Like, how does that work to that extent? Is
I
it a
mean,
human, are we performing based on a human need, or is it just learned behavior because generations and generations just act like that?
oh, okay. Like, it's a learned behavior for men to do these things. So
Right.
that's what it is. Okay.
Right.
Well, I know that I have friends that are obviously gay, and so I think that when I've spoken to one of my good friends, I've spoken to her, and I'm like, well, how is it? Like, and she's like, we have problems too. Like any other like relationship. And like she feels like there's areas that perhaps her partner should be more sensitive about, or like her partner doesn't clean as much as she does. And ironically, ya son dos girls, so who does clean? Porque
Right.
no importa, they both have to do it.
But if any
Right?
sense, I feel like that actually makes more sense. Like it's more of who is the more organized person. It don't matter who's who.
There you go.
Does it fall for you naturally or does it not? Or if you're working more, do I just learn to do it because I'm the one that has the time to? Like
Right.
it
So
actually
that's
makes
her
more
battle. Her
sense.
battle is like, yo, she's here more. She should do it.
Right.
And the other girl's battle is, well, she's just better at it.
My belly.
So I rather her do it. And I'm
Right.
like, oh wow. So like it's still the same struggle regardless. So it's an ability of not showing up in the expectation that you should show up in this area,
Right.
for me.
I think the only thing that I could say is, and I still don't know if I'm totally correct, but based on what we've learned throughout time, is that internally and biologically, women just are normally more emotional, more tuned into their emotions than men. So maybe that's why some of those nurturing, caretaking roles just come more, or like I would say more details, because I'm thinking like I grew up with my brother who's like one of my best friends, and my brother is like such a good parent, but he just doesn't, like there's certain details
That he
that
doesn't pay
he's not going
attention
to
to.
catch that
Yeah.
of course my sister-in-law catches, right?
Right.
So it's like I don't know. Is it to a certain extent, is it biological versus what is really just not practiced because you never had to do it growing up, right?
Also, yeah, you didn't
Or
learned.
you never learned it. It was never an expectation from your end, so you just moved on without learning how to do it. Where does it fall in that spectrum, right? Like I think that's the biggest question here.
I don't know. I could see both. I also feel like there's a lot of like a lot of pressure for men to show up,
Oh my God, yeah.
and there's no space for them perhaps to talk more about their emotional, because it's frowned upon by society or cultural or whatever. The men don't talk about their feelings. You
Right.
can't talk about your emotion. And then finally you get in a relationship and you're like, no, you gotta talk about your feelings, you gotta talk about your emotions. They're like, what? I was just been told that I couldn't talk about that.
Right, right.
So I feel like there should be more grace for that, as well as for the men are also trying to figure that part out too, where they could probably tap into more of the other side that's not just the provider and the
Right.
one that's showing up with the plan. Like
Right.
he also needs to be, tapping into like his partner and connecting, and that might not be as natural and might not be perhaps a role that he should play, not the one that he should by based on whatever rules is out there, but now understanding more that in essence it'd make him better as a partner, as a father, as a this, if he tapped
Right.
into that more.
Absolutely. Well, what I did want to ask you is, I mean, well, I guess I have to ask you first, are you currently in the dating world right now?
Oh wow.
And if so, do you feel that dating at your age, which we're going to leave with a question mark, dating at your age,
like
do
that, I
you
like that.
feel that gender roles is still a thing? Like, how has it impacted your dating if you are in the dating world right now?
I am dating.
I never know with the sister here. I never know where she's
I always
staying.
said I suck at the relationship thing. I told you. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. Dike. I am currently dating someone,
Mhm.
right? So I'm gonna leave the name out.
Yeah.
But yes. And I think that we've been dating for a little bit, and there is a certain expectation that I have on what I believe he should give me as in a partner, right? And after 40, that did look different for me just because of what my story was, right? Um, I think I made a lot of dating choices when I was younger where I wasn't picking, like I said, the right person for the assignment. And a part of that was always I found myself financially always being the provider more in the relationship. That caused trauma subconsciously because I felt like, yo, I'm always the giver, the giver, the giver, to the point where one of my most, unfortunately, traumatic relationships cost me like $15,000.
Wow.
So that's a lot of money for a single mom.
Jeez.
And a hard lesson that you had to learn. So coming from a place like that, the financial stuff is important for me. And but the person that I am dating is an entrepreneur. And when you have an entrepreneur spirit, you're very creative, you have amazing ideas, but the money's not as consistent. So because of the place that I've been, my traumas that I still have to work on, I realized that, damn, I do need consistency financially because of the places that I've been and come
Does
from.
that person understand that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that the person understands it. Are they showing up to the expectation that I would want? No. But it's what you work on, right?
Right.
It's that whole what are you willing to sacrifice, because there are other parts that are, great.
Right.
That's Jesus calling.
Oh, signal from the Lord.
Was that like my spicy question? Because that was spicy.
Ooh, maybe we could skip over that then. Woo. No, because I already told my part from like being like already with someone. So I was just wondering like how that when you when you
Well, do you have any
certain level.
expectations from your husband? Like
Well, that's what I was saying,
roles
right?
wise?
That's what I was talking about earlier, right? It was more like he knew that he had to learn to do certain things. I was
Okay.
just not gonna even with my ex I started dating my ex when I was 19. So from 19 to 26, 27, we were together. So it was like I told his parents I've always been like a strong charactered woman and like very unapologetic. So when I met his parents for the first time, he had this bad habit of like showering. He could only shower with white towels because he had
Like a skin thing?
what is it? Eczema. So he
Oh,
couldn't do like colored fabric to like clean his
really?
skin with. Yeah, whatever. Basically, he needed like fresh, clean white towels every single time. But homeboy would dry himself, throw the towel on the floor, and then clean his feet on the floor. So I said, if you think you're gonna come to my house, because at that point I had my own place, and I said, we not doing this here, buddy. And I literally told his parents, like, oh, he picked up this little habit. That's not gonna be cool in my house. Like we were just laughing about it.
Right.
But I was just kind of like, I'm letting y'all know right now, that's not me.
Oh no.
You know? So like there's certain things that I'm
No
just very
white
straight up.
towels.
No, I'm very straight up. Like we not doing all that. So I feel like he already knew. But again, like Gabe is so open to any, like he was just kind of like, all right, cool. Like if you gonna be okay with me learn, I'll learn whatever.
Okay.
So I really haven't had an issue with that. It's more so patience, and my anxiety not letting it get the best of me, which it has. Not gonna lie. But it's a work in progress.
Does your fuse blow? Do you have a short fuse?
Oh my God, yeah. I think that we work because my husband is so chill that even when I'm up there, he's like, okay, like he's one of those where I'm just like, hey, leave me alone. And he really will just leave me alone.
Is
like
that one of those behaviors that you're still trying to unlearn today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's tough because I also feel like based on, right, when you're older and you're jaded from your previous experiences, it's one of those things where even in my past relationship too, like my ex would run away, like leave whenever I would cry. Like he hated seeing me cry. and he would just leave.
Mm.
And it made me feel
Abandoned.
unimportant, abandoned, undervalued. And then I ended up finding out that it had a lot more to do with his childhood trauma than it was about me or our relationship. But still, like, I felt like there were certain things that I had to tell he's taken me hearing me say a lot of times that I was going to leave. Not necessarily after being married, but before we got married, yeah, he would have to hear it often. Like, I don't need you. I want you, but I don't need you. And I will get out. Like, I will leave.
Damn.
Yeah.
But I will relate with the running, because when things get bad, I do run. And by that, I mean, like, if the argument is like heavy, I'm walking out.
Mm.
And the reason I'm walking out is not because I'm trying to disrespect you, but in essence, I'm still disrespecting you by walking out, but I don't want to say something that I'm not going to be able to take back.
Mm.
And because I'm so hot and emotional and spicy, right? Y sazón, como yo soy,
Right.
I don't want to spit it out.
Right.
So what I'm trying to learn is you need to control your behavior to not get to that.
And you could take space, but you got to come back to it.
Right. So but when I walk, the partner feels what you said,
Right.
abandoned and all these other feelings.
Well,
and now I feel like, well, you already left. Now you're trying to come back. And what
Right.
I'm trying to say is, give me some space and give me some time.
Right.
So all those things is what you talk about.
That reminds me of when my ex and I did couples therapy. I learned a technique there that I pass forward to all my clients, and that was the 2024 rule. And she told us, like, when y'all have an issue, wait at least 20 minutes before discussing anything that happened, but don't let 24 hours pass without talking about what happened.
Oh, I like that.
So it was the 2024 rule. And I literally talked to all my couples about that, and even families. Like, when we got short, everybody has a different fuse, right? So, like, even if you got the longest of fuses, you got to at least wait 20 minutes. You can't speak, because another thing that I say is you can't speak through emotion. You got to speak from the emotion, on behalf of the emotion.
Okay, that makes sense.
You can't speak through that
Right,
emotion,
because
right?
you're still going through
tú vas a
it.
disparar, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you got to wait at least 20 minutes. And some people are okay with 20 minutes. Some people are not. Some people need to sleep on it. So you and your partner, you and whoever you're having an issue with,
so that's what
y'all
you're
gotta
saying,
talk,
not
like,
the 24, but you can
don't
still
let
sleep.
24 hours pass. So you, between 20 minutes and 24 hours, you should be discussing. Why? Because it's so important to speak on facts from a raw emotion. You're not going to remember exactly how you felt 2 weeks from today.
No.
You're not. And there's certain details that are very important. So between Gabe and I, and this is when he'll tell you he loves dating a therapist, between Gabe and I, homie and I talking about anything. Like, that feather fell and I don't like how it was positioned, and I'm gonna be like, yo, next time when you drop that feather, I just want to make sure it drops that way. And guess what? We squashed it. 30 seconds. I don't have to linger. I see that feather falling 35 times. By the 35th time, I'm gonna be like, yo, what the hell? And he's gonna be like,
yo, bro, what happened?
the feather been falling for the past 30 times. What's good with you? Like, why did you just act crazy? And I'm going to tell them it's because it's been pent up and I never talked about it, right? So sometimes we think that certain things are not necessary to talk about, or that there's certain things that are, she just being emotional. I'm just going to let it rock. Or the man feels like I ain't even going to talk about it because da-da-da. And it's like, no, everything is worth talking about when it's with someone you care about. So, in regards to what we're unlearning today, those are some of the facts. And even looking at our time, like, what does healthy partnership look like? How are you choosing peace and partnership? I mean, we pretty much like covered, but it's something that I do want the audience to stay with too, right? Like, what does healthy partnership look like to you outside of what you think you need to do as your role?
Well, it's a lot of things. I think one, if you're in a long-term relationship, whatever it was then is probably not what it is now. Right? So there always has to be room to evolve and to grow, I feel. Two, I think not staying so stuck on perhaps the traditional roles, to being open to the dynamic of what might work for your relationship versus but also understanding the needs of each other, right? Like your must-haves, whatever you said.
Non-negotiables.
Yeah, your non-negotiables, because some of that is still deep rooted, and maybe some of those non-negotiables are still probably traditional, and maybe that's what you need for your relationship
And
to
that's
succeed, and that's
okay.
okay.
And that's
But
okay.
let there also be space for perhaps not the so much traditional approach.
And all I'll say is bringing it back to therapy is just building self-awareness. It doesn't matter what you want, why you want, like it's valid. Whatever you feel you need is valid, but make sure it's coming from a healthy place. Like you know what you want, you are self-aware of why you need it and what purpose it's having in your life. It's not just because, oh, well, that's what I grew up watching. Well, that's what worked for my mom. It's like, but you're not living your mom's life. The point of therapy or anything that has to do with personal development, coaching, whatever that is, you are learning parts of yourself that you never learned before.
Yeah, of
And
course.
that in itself is going to allow you to understand what you need, why you need it, so that when you're explaining it to someone, it's like even when someone says, I don't want someone that's disrespectful, what does that mean to you? Because disrespect to somebody could be cursing, and for another person, it could be speaking loud.
Right,
Like,
right.
you don't know, right? But I'll literally ask, like, why is that a non-negotiable for you? Why do you absolutely not agree with that? They can't give me an answer. So I'm just like, how much of it is learned and how much of it is coming from you,
From
because you
something
know
from that you
yourself.
went through, yeah.
Exactly. So it doesn't
But you know
matter
what's
what
weird? You
that
said
is.
what worked for your mom might not work for you. What if some of the stuff that did work for your mom does work for you?
That too.
I wonder if some of that is what learned or what you view as what works for you. I don't know. But I can see what you're saying, like both the both perspectives, like
Mhm.
whether there's learned or whether it's learned behavior or learned like this is what you have to do as a role, or whether it's
And realistically speaking,
a
like,
necessity. Yeah.
we are a result of our surrounding things, right? Like, we are, part of our identity is based on what we grew up around, who we grew up
Of
around.
course, it will be
So,
so.
yeah, that is part of it for sure.
I'll say this last thing though. Do you think before we do our little questions or whatever,
Saucy. Let's get saucy.
do you think that those traditional roles are not a necessity? Some of that old school stuff isn't a necessity in order for the relationships to be successful? Like, shouldn't we as women want to be more like catering and loving to our men, and these roles that we have to do, right? And shouldn't men then do their roles? And if maybe some of that stuff was still traditional, we would have a little bit more of, I don't know,
I think for me, it was created
successful.
for a reason, right? It was learned and it's been going on for generations and generations for a reason. I'm gonna bring it back to, I take what serves me from that. There are some things that we're still very traditional about, for sure. And I leave behind what doesn't serve us.
Okay.
So
It is
I
not the
like,
recipe for a successful, thriving relationship. Some of the recipe might work for you, and some of it might
exactly.
not. Maybe you need a little more sugar. Maybe you need a little more spice. Maybe you need a little less salt. Maybe you need a little bit more,
Mhm.
cinnamon. I don't know.
Listen, and the recipe could change by the year.
All right, sis. All right.
Oh,
I got my
so,
question.
oh Lord, damn, you quick with it. All right.
Well, here you go. Here you go. If you could rewrite the script you were handed about what it means to be a woman,
Mm.
what parts would you keep
Mm,
and what
okay.
would you take away?
Oh, so this is basically what we just left off on. Um,
Yeah, you're like, some of the equation works
yes.
and some of it doesn't. So what are you keeping?
As a
And
woman, I love
yes.
being the one that takes care of myself, like presentable. Like,
Oh, like
I,
que te ponga linda.
yeah, like I personally feel like that is such a feminine quality of
Okay.
mine that I really cherish. And my husband is not the styling person. So it is something that, in me sharing that feminine quality of mine, it's actually increased his confidence too, to a certain extent.
Okay.
So I feel like, yeah, like,
It's a balance.
yes. What you said the other part too, right? The opposite, like what I want to
What would
leave
you
behind.
take out?
I also feel like just with the other one, I also feel like I'm very nurturing, and I do like care a
Claro.
lot.
She just
But-
made a whole breakfast before we started today.
But
Very Dominican style.
that's very much so. But I am learning to have a little bit more balance. I do think I put a lot on my plate. Part of that I'm trying to figure out whether it's because of being raised by a strong single woman versus am I just that person because I have people pleasing tendencies. That's just part of my personality. So I'm trying to figure out whether it's part of my identity or whether it's part of learned behavior. So I try to remind myself like that all the time, that softness of mine or like that nurturing part of mine. Like I still need to build boundaries around that. Like I can't take care of everything. I
No.
can't take care of all the Gabe
Everyone.
stuff, my mom's stuff. Like I just can't. And I fall into that habit every single time. And I try to stop myself because I've had to suffer the consequences
Of course,
for it
yeah.
in different areas. So I would say that just
So you're
less
taking
nurturing.
all right.
I'm taking just the feminine,
The
like
femininity,
touch,
the nurturing.
know?
You said a little of the nurturing too.
Yeah, but not the taking care of everything and being the do it all, be it all for everybody, which I feel like a lot of women do fall into that role, unfortunately, and we kind of have to lay off the limit. That's what I would say.
Okay.
So let's see. Damn. All right.
Dun, dun, dun. I love us too.
Have you ever weaponized gender expectations to your advantage?
Oh, snap. No, I wish I did, girl. Get that money. Be that gold digger. Damn.
Not at all.
I don't have the gold digger spirit in me, girl.
Is that really what that's the first thing that came to your mind as in gender expectation?
Well, I feel like
your
that's
advantage.
to my advantage. Like
Yeah.
what a man is supposed to do.
Like,
the first thing
cover
is
all your
provide.
stuff.
Cover all your stuff. So no. But I think that subconsciously I didn't do that. The reason why it didn't happen to me is because it's the one reason why I kind of like not resented my mom through growing up, but since my father was so unfaithful and she didn't leave him because she couldn't financially provide, right? So then I told myself, well, bro, I'm gonna go be the best financial provider because ain't no nigga gonna ever cheat on me, right? And do these things, these disrespectful things. So let me go make this money. So then, ironically, it was the one thing that men never really were able to show me, like, let me be the provider. Because it's the one thing that I
That
always
wasn't a
led
non-negotiable.
with.
That wasn't a non-negotiable. For you, you were flexible around a guy. I think for you though, it's been tough because it's not just a guy not giving you stuff. It's a guy
It's not
also
stuff. It's
but
I don't want it to be just all material.
No, but what I'm saying is that just from our previous conversations, it's also guys in your past that you have had to help and support financially.
There you go.
So it's not even that they don't cater to some of your needs or say, here, babe, here's some money for your nails randomly. It's not even about
No,
that.
oh no.
It's about like, yo, not only were they not just doing stuff for me on the side, but I had to be the one to
That part.
support.
Right.
And it just wasn't coming. Their half wasn't even coming up.
Right, those things, those kind of things. I never had that, like that. I never even had the guy that said, let me pay for your nails. I think maybe I had like that twice in my life. Like it's never been consistent like that. But I have been lucky to have men that are emotionally in tune.
Right.
So I think that you get,
It's hard.
what are you?
I will
what are
say
your
though,
gives and takes here?
that recaps a future topic that we are going to be talking about, which is choosing partners versus projects.
Oh, that part.
So stay tuned on that because that is also another conversation we are going to be having.
Damn, I don't like a therapist. I got her. She's my therapist.
Sis, I try not to do it, but it's like, in that TikTok, I'm not gonna do it. I did it. That's me every single time. All right. So yes, of course, per usual. Thank you so much for conversation, Prima.
We love you. We love you long time.
We always have such a good vibe with us, with the audience. And yeah, let us know your feedback. We want to hear what y'all have to say.
Can't wait for the next one. See you guys.
Bye.
Today's conversation wasn't about throwing away every role we learned growing up. It was about asking who taught us these roles in the first place. And do they still make sense for how we live, love, and show up today? I mean, I get it. Some roles bring structure, some responsibilities come from love, but no one should disappear in the process. You're not a machine, you're not a servant, you're not just a role. You're a whole person con emociones, necesidades, límites, and a voice that matters. So whether you're holding it all down by yourself or learning to share the weight, here's the Soulcy reminder. You're allowed to be more than what the world expects you to be. This is Soul y Sazón, where the flavor of the world blends with the stories of the heart. Keep showing up with soul and lots of flavor, honey. Love you. Long time.